Board of Education to order. I want to welcome all our guests. I promise we'll have you out of here by 7:30 when the rain shows up. At least that's our goal. Could I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Agenda is approved. Do we have anybody for open forum?
We do not, sir.
All right. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Consent agenda is approved.
Within that, though, is these awards.
Yep. ACT awards.
Awesome.
So as we discussed a couple of board meetings ago, we're going to try and highlight some of our academic achievements. And so out of a class of 50 that took the pre-ACT, I think you'll be impressed with how many of our students earned state recognition tonight. So for a little bit of context, the pre-ACT Rising Stars program is in its inaugural year, and it honors students who score in the top half of all U.S. students who take the pre-ACT in either the 8th or 9th grade. That exam provides a preview of the ACT test experience itself, along with a highly reliable predictor of how students might perform on the ACT later. And that information is critical because it helps us adjust our lesson plans and learning, and then it also demonstrates to students that college could possibly be in reach for them if they decide to pursue that path. So the pre-ACT Rising Stars program recognizes students at 3 levels: the Early Scholars Award, the Rising Scholars Award, and then the Distinguished Scholars Award. Our Rising Scholars, or Early Scholars, excuse me, we had 12 awardees, and they'll actually be recognized at next week's Wildcat Games, and they'll receive their certificates there. But the top 2 tiers, Rising Scholars Award and then the Distinguished Scholars Award, we're going to honor 6 Rising Scholars this evening and 1 Distinguished Scholar. Our Rising Scholars Award were for students who scored between the top 6 and 15% of all test takers, and we had 7 of those. And students, before you come up, I'm going to read your name one at a time, and then you'll come up. Miss Sassman will hand me your award, and I'll give you your award. Please be patient. We're going to take a quick picture because everybody wants it on Facebook. We would like to have it on Facebook, and I bet your parents do too. And then if you wouldn't mind just forming a line over here to my left, to your right, we're going to take a picture all together after that. So our Rising Scholars Award awardees. Sorry. They'll have a coat to take pictures.
Gotta get fancy.
Our first awardee for the Rising Scholars Award is Mr. Alex Carnes. Our next awardee is Mr. Alex Moorfeld. Let's stand up a little bit taller if I take a picture with Alex so I don't look like his little brother. Get your congratulations, bud. Our next awardee is Miss Madison Nilgis. Awesome job. That's wave smile for the camera.
Good job, kiddo. I'm proud of you.
Congratulations. Our next awardee is Peyton Peters. How's it going, Peyton? Congratulations.
Got it.
Get your medal for you. I'm sure you can wear this around school tomorrow. Our next awardee, Mr. Dawson Springer. Congratulations. Go flex report. Let's get your medal, bro. Ready for basketball? Yeah. Congratulations, bud. And our last awardee is Mr. Nash Tyree. Good job, buddy. Congratulations. Let me get you a medal too, bud. Great job. So our last awardee isn't able to be with us this evening, but our Distinguished Scholars Award is given to those students that ended up being in the top 5%. And our award winner here in Osage County R2 was Mr. Isaiah Franken. So we'll Congratulations. Stay for the rest of it, right? You're not gonna leave, right?
Good job, kiddo.
Now, everybody's welcome to stick around for the rest of the meeting. I don't even have to say, you're all jumping up and getting out of here, or we can continue.
I said we need to
Wait,
bring snacks next
you guys
time.
leaving? No?
You're welcome to stay.
Help us.
All right. Approval of transfer and payment of bills. Any comments, questions?
I only had one question about the internet for a charge for university. What was that? It was like $19,000.
I don't think it was an internet charge. That may be our online.
It said something about more net internet connection or something.
Eric? Morenet internet connection?
Yeah, it's our internet connection, but also they provide other services, network monitoring, support.
That's our one-time annual fee?
Multiple different services for a year-long service.
Gotcha. So our internet kind of.
I saw we had a monthly internet fee or bill, and then I saw this, so I wasn't sure what the difference was.
No.
Because this one was like $19,000.
Yeah, Morenet's a one-time yearly bill that's about that amount every year, so.
Is it for our web hosting too?
No, web hosting is a separate one-time bill.
Great.
Okay.
I'll send you a detail of that.
I just curious.
Okay, anything else? Can I get a motion to approve the transfer and payment of bills?
I move to approve the transfer and payment of bills.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Reports, elementary report.
Good evening. All right, it's been a great start to the school year. I'm gonna start with enrollment numbers, which I did not include in your packet, but we are actually at 304 right now, pre-K through 5th grade, so actually 4 up from what Mr. James gave you in August. So we have had some move in, some move out, but overall, we're still even up from the beginning of the year. So I do feel like in the last 2 weeks, we've gotten several more kids. We did have, like I said, a few transfer out, but several new families move in. So we're excited to welcome them and have them join our Lynn Elementary School family. Our open house and wellness fair were a huge success. It was a great time welcoming everyone back into our building for the year, and kids were excited, staff were excited, so that was really cool to see. It was probably one of our best turnouts that we've had in a really long time for open house. We had a lot of classes have 100% attendance for open house, so I was super excited to see that. Teachers and staff have really embraced our building-wide theme this year of Reach for the Stars, so our goal is to reach new heights academically while instilling a love for learning in our students. Shout out to our maintenance and custodial team. We received a huge compliment from another principal who was visiting Ms. Kimna on the cleanliness of our building, said it was one of the cleanest schools she had ever been in, so that's really cool to hear. That's a huge honor. So they're doing a great job, and we really appreciate all the hard work that they do every day to make it look that good. And on that note, one of our biggest positive office referrals this year so far, that we're seeing the most positive office referrals for, actually surrounds that taking pride in our building from our students and leaving it better than they found it. So that's really cool to see as well. When we take care of our stuff, it teaches our kids to take care of our stuff and have pride in their building. So that's really awesome to see. For instruction, in just a minute, I'm gonna go over the math data from spring of 2025. But just a few other notes, we just kicked off our iReady assessment diagnostics on September 2nd. So they have taken their reading and math at this point. We still have some kiddos finishing up. Overall, the data is kind of what we expect trending. Reading is at least a little over 10% higher as ability than our math. We kind of knew and expected that from other kinds of data like the map, but also we know that that needs to be a focus this year, so we're working on that through our Eureka Math Squared new curriculum resource, which has been really awesome. My favorite part of watching it so far is not what they're doing on the paper, but what they're having to explain their thinking and the questions that are being posed to them, which we know looking at and breaking down our math data is one of our biggest areas we've struggled with, those questions in the higher DOK level thinking. So that curriculum resource has been a really big help to really get our students to think about their answers and not just put them on paper for math. Again, our students will continue to also have individualized pathways based on their diagnostic for reading and math to meet them where they're at. We are continuing to monitor our ABA with our bulletin board again by the front office. Weekly percentages for each grade level are in there, as well as our top 3 classes. They actually just met their attendance goal where they scored out Wildcats, so we'll be playing kickball next week for them reaching that incentive. And to get to flip over a letter of Wildcats, again from last year, they have to have 95% or higher attendance for the day, and then they get to flip over a letter. So we're really excited about that, and they actually just earned their first letter of Wildcats today from yesterday, having 96.6% attendance. So that's been really cool to see, and they're working really hard to be here. Then upcoming events, Title I night is going to be October 1st. So we're gonna have our masked reader event again this year. This will be our second time of hosting that event. And so be on the lookout for videos coming out very soon to Facebook on that. And then Grandparents' Day and Food for America Day will be October 10th this year. So we would love to see everybody come out for that as well. Just one more thing that I wanted to mention that will be coming your way soon, besides our math data, is as an elementary school this year, we are seeing a high number of mental health concerns that are pretty significant. So later tonight, we'll be taking a look at a contract for a BCBA to come in and partner with us, as well as partnering with some community partners that we have here to see what resources we can get into our building and work with them to help benefit our students. So I just wanted you to know that's coming your way, and that's kind of why about 6 or 7 pretty significant concerns right now in our building. And then I think Mr. Moorfield is gonna pull up our map data. Again, please remember this is just to present where our students are currently performing. It's gonna be a lot of data, so please ask any questions that you have. Last year, we didn't have the state preliminaries out when I presented. This year we do have the state preliminaries out, so you're gonna see a couple different figures, and I'll do my best to kind of explain what those differences are. And we also know that this data might not be super comfortable to look at in some areas, but it's where we're at, so we're just gonna present it. So first of all, we'll start by looking at 3rd grade data. And on this first screen, you're gonna see the grade level comparison from the spring of 2024 to the spring of 2025. So as a grade level, these are not the same group of kids. The grade level, just to kind of look at teachers and their instruction, rose by 1% in that proficient advanced level. But if you look at the next slide, this is going to compare our Lynn Elementary data to the state preliminary. Now, these are just preliminary numbers, so they could change, although I don't anticipate them changing a whole great deal. So they're not official results, but for 3rd grade ELA, we were right on target with the amount of kids that are proficient and advanced in our building for that 3rd grade ELA as the state. And if you look at those numbers, they're all pretty close. It looks like our major little shift between us and the state data was they had a few more advanced percentages than we had a few more proficient. but still overall for proficient and advanced, we were right on target with the state. Now, we recognize that's great, right? But we want to be even better than the state average, and so we're going to continue working on bettering our curriculum instruction, asking those deeper level questions to get our students even above that. The next one you're going to see is, again, that grade level comparison, not the same cohort of students, because these kiddos haven't taken the MAP test before 3rd grade. We did see a little bit of a difference here we went down a little bit, but you also could realize we have 2 different numbers of students. So we were down in that specific grade level a few students this year. But if you look at the state preliminary, which is going to be the next slide, we were just under the state average, which was 41% for 3rd grade math. We were at 38%. Again, we expect to be a little bit lower in math, but we're planning on really addressing this through the curriculum resource and then just continuing with RTI plans, which I'll talk about a little bit later. All right, up next, for 4th and 5th grade, you're gonna see a little bit an extra slide because these kids did take the MAP test in 4th grade, or in 3rd grade, and now they're in 4th. So we can look at that group of kiddos and see how they're progressing from year to year. So for ELA, this specific 4th graders from last year, they actually grew 5% in the ELA range as a group, as that cohort. So that's comparing the same group of kids from 2024 to 2025. So they are making progress, not as much like progress as we would like to see, but they're making progress. They're going in the right direction. So the next slide, again, that's going to be the grade level comparison. So if you look at that as a grade level with their curriculum and instruction, they actually went up quite a bit. So they're doing the things they need to do to change instruction to benefit our kids. So we love to see that. And then if you go to the next slide, this is our Lynn Elementary data with the state preliminary. Again, we were right on the same target as the state, it looks like so far. And those numbers were pretty similar as well compared to the state for the different categories. So we were right on target there. For math, this is now going to be the comparison area for the cohort again. We did see a decrease in their cohort. And looking at the data that we have, I would say that would be a major concern as far as our DOK level questions. Again, we're gonna be addressing that through this new curriculum resource, through badge books, through our new RTI model that we'll talk about. But this group did see a decline overall.
Hey, Cammie.
Yes.
By chance, do you know if there was a change in the number of students?
Yes, so that could have been a difference, and that percentage looks like, I don't know the number off the top of my head for how many kids we might have lost, but remember, even 1% is sometimes like a kid, so that could be the difference there. I'm not sure on the exact number, but I can get that for you.
I think it's 5. I think
Okay.
I think it's 5 kids
Sure.
that actually dropped from that last year to this year.
Yeah, so
that-
that's a
that
good
might be
point.
helpful to include that
Yes.
number of kids.
Okay, I'm happy to get that for you too, just to see if that could be part of the problem. All right, up next, so this is for the grade level comparison. As a grade level, they did go up 3% from the previous year. So again, I think they're really working hard to adapt their curriculum instruction to benefit our kids. We just saw that decrease. And so you're gonna see kind of that same thing when you go to the next slide, comparing us to the state preliminary. This was our biggest difference from the state in the area of 4th grade math. Again, I really do truly think our new math curriculum resource will really address this. It's a matter of asking those deep critical thinking questions that sometimes we weren't asking before. And being in classrooms, I can tell you, they're very high level questions, and it's really cool to watch our students go through that process. And also the other really cool thing is teachers are going through the process of also learning this new curriculum resource, which has created a safe environment for the kids to make mistakes because they see their teachers working through it. So that's been really cool to watch. The kids are excited to try it. And I've seen so many light bulb moments where they're like, yeah, that makes sense. I could see where you got that from. So it also gives them a chance to learn from their peers as they're thinking through different ways of solving problems. And again, that was our biggest discrepancy from the state, is in 4th grade math. Okay, this is an ELA cohort comparison. Again, for them, I went ahead and included the last 3 years of data, so they've kind of been right in that range. They did dip a little bit, but again, they were down 1 student last year, so I think that's where we saw the dip, and then we're back up this year as a cohort. And then 5th grade ELA math data, this is just grade level comparison. As a grade level, obviously, we're comparing apples to oranges here because the number of kids were way different, but we were pretty close to what they were last year in 2024. This is gonna be us with the state preliminary. So we were about 5% under an ELA for 5th grade. Just looking at that, we did have a higher number of kids in that below basic. And I'll tell you, in that group, we had a lot of students that had some various needs in there that could have affected that data a little bit.
That 5% is about 2 kids.
2 kids,
So
yeah.
we trailed on average by about 2 kids out of 100.
Yep. This is going to show their cohort data for that specific group of kids, and actually they're doing really well. We're continuing to see that uphill trend with them, and over the past 2 years, 7% growth, that's pretty good. They're working really hard. This is comparing, again, that math as a grade level. They're up several percent. And then the next slide will show you we were just 1% under the state average for the proficient and advanced. They did have, as a state, quite a bit more advanced than us, but we had just as many, actually a little bit more in that proficient range, but still close to the state average. Up next are gonna be our science math scores. Now there is no cohort comparison on this one because 5th grade's the first time they do the science math test. For their specific grade level 5th grade science, we made a pretty big jump there, and I was excited to see that. The next slide is going to show us compared to the state preliminary, and we were actually 2% above in that proficient advanced range than the state preliminaries are looking like. So I was really excited to see that, and we celebrated that. Again, we were pretty close with most. That 4th grade math was a little bit more of a discrepancy in the state minimum, or the state average. But the thing that I really appreciate is our team is working hard to get close to that state average, but we're gonna continue to work harder and surpass that state average, I think, in the next couple of years, so that's super exciting. So what are our plans to address the fact that we're still in that 35 to 45% range? Because while the state's there also, we want our kids to be above that, like I said before. So we adopted the Eureka Math Squared resource. The thing that I'm hearing the most is it is way more rigorous than our kids have ever had. So teachers and parents, if they could just bear with us, because that's what we've learned through looking through this data that our kids need that more rigor. So there's gonna be some growing pains in the front end of it, but it's gonna pay off and be wonderful. We're gonna also add more rigor and critical thinking to all of our curriculum. So even with the ELA, the science, the social studies, it's not just gonna be in the area of math. We're gonna just look at, okay, we know these math questions are really helping our students. How can we copy that into all subject areas? We'll continue to review different DOK levels and example questions as a building. We'll continue to look at the math data by the item analysis to come up with plans to address the missing skills. This year, we're revising our RTI time a little bit, and that means response to intervention. So in the couple years that I've been here, most of our RTI was going down to where our students were at and meeting them where they were. But we're still doing that in tier 2 and tier 3 intervention time, but we're actually going to pull them up to where we are, and so our RTI time is gonna be primarily on grade level standards to really hit those even more than we already are within a regular day. We're gonna continue to add cooperative learning to increase student engagement, and we're gonna explore options for curriculum resources to pilot in the future for ELA. And then we're gonna continue using those already individualized pathways to help them on the skills that they're really struggling with. And then both Ms. Kimna and myself do have mobile desks, so we are not in our office as much. We're out in the buildings. We're really looking at the level of rigor that's happening in classrooms, making sure these new curriculum resources are being implemented with fidelity, and then just helping take care of the small things teachers are dealing with that we can take off their plates so they can really focus on teaching and learning. Are there any questions or concerns?
I appreciate you presenting this. It's a lot to present and a lot to explain, and there's stuff to be proud of and there's stuff to be frustrated with, but I appreciate having all of this information, because you can't know what to tackle unless you break it all out like this. And I really like that you, the attention that you guys have spent on, the individualized attention on tackling the RTI time. That's been good. I know it's helped my son, so I appreciate it.
Awesome. Any other questions or anything?
Other questions?
Okay, and like I said, we'll continue to shoot for the stars there, and even try to surpass that state minimum in other areas besides fifth grade science. I think that's important to not just stop when we get to the average point, but continue to be great.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Athletics report.
All right, thank you. So we'll jump right in. We're gonna start off with talking about summer weights program. So kind of where we got the 55 athletes from, to kind of explain that a little bit, is 3 days a week for 10 weeks. And we went with the 55 athletes as that's who has showed up at least one time. So there were a few outliers of kids who just showed up once, twice, and never came back again. So that kind of skewed a little bit of our numbers. But the first 5 weeks, we were sitting around 46%. And then as you can kind of see, we fell into the last 5 weeks, we really fell off down at 20%. So it's concerning me, but I think it's something that we can work for. We're already kind of looking for and putting things in play what we can do to get those numbers up. I think it's huge. Our weight room is going to be huge, not just for football, but for all athletes and just kids in general. I really believe in the weight program with our kids. So some of the things we kind of jumped into is looking at scheduling. I know a lot of kids have a lot of things going on during the summer, so looking at what we can do scheduling wise, because I'm going to assume a little bit that first 5 weeks is when summer school and things were going on too, and then kind of went on, so seeing what we can do to kind of work on that. Work on our communication, and then look at doing some incentives and motivation for them throughout the summer. It's kind of one of them goals that kind of puts into our overall improvement of our climate culture of getting that up. So that's a big step we're going to look at. Jumping into like the numbers overall, jumping and starting off with middle school volleyball. They've got a game tonight. If we get out enough time, we can go watch what we did before. But they're up to 21 girls. We had a lot of sixth graders kind of come on. We opened that up to sixth graders that came on, so like that. So the numbers are looking great. I think we actually have like one uniform left. So we were right at that max of having to look and do that, which is a great thing to happen. So looking at the numbers, you can see we're really high in that 6th and 7th grade. So I continue to see those numbers next year probably increase. So we'll probably be looking to get a few more uniforms next year, which again is a great problem to have. High school volleyball. Their numbers are looking pretty well too. As you can see, they don't have any seniors, so we're missing a whole grade level number of seniors. So I'm hoping it's that 8th grade group coming up. We're going as those numbers are going to be pushing that 25 to 30 mark. So hopefully we'll have enough to kind of lock down a C team as well to get everybody some playing time. So really excited about that as well. Jumping into softball. Again, softball, they started off a great year. Kind of a note tonight, we had Ava Warren, Kinsey Hackman, and Sophie Voss got their 100th hit tonight. At that game, so that is a huge accomplishment. If you look at about the 15 or 20 games they play over a 4-year period, that's a lot of balls to be hit and score. So our numbers are not what I'd like to see in softball. We do have a misprint. We do have one freshman, but we're right around that 13. I'm not sure what our 8th grade and 7th grade numbers look like coming up, but that's something that we really need to dive into, because we've played a few JV games today, but I'd like to really see those girls get some more numbers and build that up to keep going. Jumping into football, we have 34 boys in football. We have a good number across, it seems like grade-wise across. I know we have a large 8th grade group that's coming up too that's going to help with that, so I see those numbers improving a lot. We're not at where we want to be at, so we've got some work we're still looking at doing. A couple things for tomorrow I didn't put on here is that we do have, before the game, we have a new program that Mrs. Wells, the fact teacher kind of took on, that she's going to do with all athletics. It's called You Make a Difference. So all the senior football players, cross country, choir, and band all nominated a staff member, whether it's a teacher, as a staff member who is someone who made a big difference in their life, that we're gonna recognize them and kind of tell our little story before the game. So if you get out a little bit earlier, that 6:15, 6:30 time is when we're gonna do that. As well as the middle school, we'll have our middle school youth program, will be doing their youth program and cheerleader recognition at halftime as well. So I think we'll have a really big crowd coming out, so I'm kind of excited about that as well. Jumping in cross country, our numbers are great in cross country. If you were out in the last weekend, we had a great invite. There are a lot of schools who are out here. It was hot. We had a few kids kind of go down on us a little bit that I seemed like I seemed to be the target of when they were going, but it was good. But our numbers are really good with there. We do host districts. That'll be November 1st. So we're gonna have probably close to around 50 schools that are here that'll be coming through. We host class 2 and class 3. So it'll be from about 9 o'clock in the morning to noon. We'll be rocking and rolling here in town as well. Jumping into band, we have about 15 boys and girls coming. If you notice, we've kind of asked them a lot to do this year. They've stepped up and they're doing the national anthem and all football games as well as halftime. We're going to start working with choirs. I've talked to them. They're going to come in and sing a lot of our national anthems for basketball this winter. Kind of doing that. Their numbers up. They're right around the same, about 13, 14 girls. They got their first event this Saturday they're going to, so those numbers are increasing as well. And lastly, we have sideline cheer. They're right around 10 girls are involved with that. There's a few that are kind of on the fence going there, but they've done a great job coming in. They've got a huge youth program that's coming up, so I'd see those numbers continually rise as well on that. So the outlook right now in fall sports here in Lynn is really good. So that kind of last kind of gets in as, you know, my numbers correctly on enrollment, I know they're changing a little bit. We had about 44% of the middle school and high school kids are involved in athletics, so about 143 of the 322 kids are involved in some sort of athletic activity right now in the fall. So, questions?
Any questions? Comments?
Oh, I did have one, I'm sorry. You said tonight Ava, Sophie, and who? Was that the-
Kinsey Hackman.
Thank you.
Yep. We'll have a post out early first thing in the morning.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Very good, thank you very much. I will mention, you mentioned summer weights. And it was a few years ago, we made the offer across the street. I mean, I think we're open to, in the summer, maybe just 10 p.m. But to give you a
No,
cut.
I know
cut
there's some
rate.
kids, I go out there in the mornings and I've seen several of our high school, actually some middle school kids I've seen
Middle
there
school,
at
yeah.
5 a.m. in the morning
Yeah,
and
they
they're
come
there,
over.
so I mean, that may be part as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
some
think
go
it
to
is.
Denise Coots as well, I know.
Yeah.
And where now?
Denise Coots here in
Okay.
town, she does like an early morning
Oh, okay.
weightlifting thing, and
Okay.
I know
Freestyle
some kids
fitness.
go to that as well.
Yeah, we
Actually-
offered a cut rate deal 2 summers ago. I don't know if anybody took us up on it or not.
Okay.
If you would do me a favor for the students, would you tell the student fan section, I just absolutely love when they come out and support
Oh,
any
okay.
of the sports games, like it's just very entertaining to watch. And to kind of piggyback off of what Ms. Otto said, taking pride in your area, because I will say I'm a little disappointed sometimes to see the amount of mess that gets left behind from our own students. And I think it's just, they get wrapped up in it, but I love it when they come out, so.
Well, tomorrow is the USA theme, so I was gonna see some outfits tomorrow, I know, so you know, come out, be dressed and ready to go, so.
USA theme, okay.
Yep.
All right.
Awesome.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you. Superintendent report.
Awesome. So had a good first Monday PD, went through intruder training, had some great feedback from that. Dr. Cobb and I are going to partner and give an additional training in the middle of this year. We feel like safety and security is paramount at this point. We just want our staff to have a little bit more hands-on training with that. We have invited Phil Boyd back for January. That is always, every district I've had it, a really popular training and has a massive cultural impact. That's great. We hired very well. I did want to point out, like Cammie pointed out, and in our enrollment, we are bulging a little bit. You know, in that first grade, we're on the edge of needing some additional staff. Don't have quite enough for another first grade teacher, but we have put some aides in there. Professional development, teaching and learning, can we have focus on academics and curriculum with the elementary report this month. We'll be moving on to middle school and high school next month. And I've kind of outlined my thoughts there briefly. Facilities, we did have a pretty good article in the paper this week, bottom of the fold, second front. But we have received a lot of compliments by patrons and visitors about the cleanliness of our buildings. I've said often, I really don't need, and I'm not prideful in a sense that I want something fancy, but no matter what we have, I believe you should take care of it. Our taxpayers provide that. And so we've seen some really good progress in our staff and our students. Construction is going well. We're ahead on budget there. Like I said, come January, February, we're gonna have to make some really fun decisions about what we wanna do with the balance that I believe we'll have at that time. Talking a little bit about going ahead and moving forward on doing some work on this gravel lot on the south side over by where we use that short road for summer school. Just because we have a lot of parents that work for a living and then they come straight from their job here. We really need a place to park some bigger trucks that have trailers, maybe buses also, so you'll see that maybe coming our way for discussion here in the near future. I'll defer to Dr. Cobb, although I will say, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but I have a plan to recognize a few of the students from this first student section that have just really come all out. And I'm really proud of the leadership that they're demonstrating there. If you are in band, don't forget for homecoming, October 2nd. No, it's October 3rd. I keep thinking the day before. But we have an alumni band at the homecoming game, so we'd love to see if you played at all. Come out and join us. I think Mr. Wilson has played trumpet. I played mellophone in the marching band for us, and I know quite a few folks. Mr. Baker, I believe you played an instrument for us at one time, but if you'd like to come out, we'd let you even try an instrument. If you didn't play it before, come play it now. Probably the most intensive information that I provided to you, all is reference to some House Joint Resolutions 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 that are going to impact potentially our local revenues. A little bit different than that traditional path for legislation. That actually goes to a vote for the people. Here's my concern. The focus for those joint resolutions is personal property taxes, and coming from back home from Texas, I didn't have to pay for that when I left because I was just a kid. But coming back home, I had not paid for personal property, boats, cars, trucks, you name it. And so that was a bit of a surprise to me as I came back from Missouri, or from Texas. 26 of our 97 million is personal property taxes, and that's about 30% of our local revenue. And here's the missing link that I want to make sure that you guys understand. In all of those joint resolutions, there's a provision that guarantees that the amount of taxes in Osage County won't lower because of those joint resolutions. What it will do is take the people that are paying only taxes on cars, trucks, jet skis, and it'll move that tax rate over to real estate property owners only. So that means if you rent in Osage County and you don't own, then yes, you'll fall off of those rolls. However, the person you rent the house from is going to have an increase of about 30% in their real property taxes. So we're not going to go backwards, but what that does is it makes sure that fewer people are responsible for supporting us as a school, including those that aren't necessarily invested from a land or real property standpoint. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone understands that tax collection won't go away. It'll just make sure that fewer people do. And as a result, you know that lease and rent prices are going to go up because homeowners are going to pass that on, those landlords. So I know at the state level they're already discussing budget cuts for next year, and they're not talking about anything definitive. This isn't the time of year to do that, but everybody wants to know if we can do business for lesser at the state level. That will potentially impact us. And those two, local and state, those are our main funding sources. So 80-90% of our funds come from those two pots, and both of them are a little wobbly now. So I'll be paying particular attention to that. And that also includes Senate Bills 3 and 68, which freezes the property tax for some of our age citizens, which again, as a taxpayer, I'm a big fan of that, but that moves a fund source away. And so we're asked to do more every year with the same or less. That is a concern for me. We will be going through our third-party audit next week through Girding Court and Chitwood. So they'll come in and they ask us for a lot of paperwork, a lot of budget records, to kind of go through that with a fine-tooth comb. We supply that. And then we'll get that back and we'll vote on that. We'll accept its result in December. The last item there is our checking account. Because of our investment strategy, our checking account will look low for a period of time. That first 3.1 million, it's actually 3,090,000 that we paid for bond type projects. That just comes out of our general fund because we left our bond available funds in an interest-bearing account. So we're receiving between, depending on the month, $30,000 to $50,000 in interest profit each month. That means our checking account is drawn down low. And what we're gonna do each month is transfer the cost of operation out of that higher interest-bearing account to cover our expenses. At the end of all of our projects, we'll have $3.1 million left, and that'll transfer into our account. But we look at those balances every month. If that makes you nervous, that's really what's going on. We're gonna leave that in there in MOCAT so we can get more interest off of that. Does that make sense?
Yep.
It makes me a little nervous, so each month, about the 15th of the month, I sit down with accounts payable, payroll, and go through all of our requisitions. We get an anticipated total for the checks that you guys sign here, an anticipated total for payroll, and then an anticipated continuing construction costs. Then I email MOCAT, the folks over at MOCAT. They transfer that the same day. And so they do that, and then we'll go ahead and issue checks and payroll on the 23rd.
Sounds good. Any questions? All right, hearing none. Discussion item, district improvement plan.
So we review our district improvement plan each year. This is the third year, so we'll be taking a little bit deeper dive on that next year. But for this year, our district improvement plan is really a continuous improvement cycle, which states we want to improve our scores 3% each year. So there's not a definitive number. We just compare from year to year. So it really doesn't need to change for that reason. But what we will need to look at next year, although we do a little bit each year, is whether or not those focus areas are still viable for us and areas that we want to emphasize or focus on. So we'll do that next year, but for right now, I just wanted to make sure that you guys could put your eyes on that, and if you needed it as reference to look at through this next year, I'll give you a copy of it when we take a look at it next year also, but we'll be rewriting that next year. We don't have to, we could leave it for 5 years, but I think 3 years is enough.
All right. Second reading of MUC policy.
There's about 30, 40 policies in there. I forget the exact number. I included each of those in a link, but I also gave you kind of my summary over each of those, along with my recommendations. In that site summary, I doubt, unless you guys want to go through them one by one, there was an MEC policy recognition. Some of them are mandatory. Of particular interest, there's a lot of emergency services there. And so, for instance, the new AED and CPR guidelines, those are going to come at a significant expense to districts. They are telling us that there will be one-time grant opportunities or initial grant opportunities. I'll be applying for those so that we don't take on all of that cost burden. But there will be a training and equipment burden with those. Bless you.
So are they requiring an AED in each building or per square footage, or?
I forget exactly what the requirements are, but it's essentially every student area will need to have an AED. And for us, I think it might be, forgive me for not knowing this exactly, but 4 or 5 more. It's a significant cost. We'll buy those and then we'll get reimbursed by the state.
All right. PD plan.
The PD plan hasn't changed much either, but we do review that every single year. So it's still in line with our current district and campus improvement plans. We just did a review of that. Really, it was mostly updating some names that we had missed from the previous year and updating those dates. But we still have a committee that meets, determines what our professional development needs. If you recall the major change, I'm a big responsibility and accountability. If progress is the accountability for progress is on the principals, then I think they should be responsible for the ultimate decision there. versus the committee, although the committee does weigh in and make recommendations, but our principals are the ultimate authority there.
All right. Action items, final reading of policy 6180.
So this is the last reading of 6180, which is our English language learners policy. Typically, we read the entire policy before you vote. I do want to know, in thinking forward, I'm going to make a couple calls because I'm not sure that they're going to want us or that we're required to read 30 or 40 policies should you choose to adopt them all, the ones that are not mandatory.
I'll be skipping that meeting.
So I will have a very concise answer to that question, but for now, I'd like to read all of this one while I'm in. So, final reading. The Board of Education is committed to identifying and assessing the educational needs of students whose native or home language is other than English. Once identified, the district will provide appropriate programs to address the needs of these students. Students entitled to considerations under this policy include language minority, students who come from a background where English is not the student's first language, where the primary language of the home is not English or both, limited English proficiency, students whose English language skills are insufficient to lead to the success of an English-only classroom. District will also take steps to ensure to the maximum extent practical that the interest of ELL students are included in the development and implementation of district programs and services that are offered by the district to and for its student body. Such students will be assessed upon enrollment and will be assessed annually thereafter. School personnel enrolling ELL students are trained in the process of identifying, assessing, and providing services to these students. To ensure that parents and guardians are properly notified of the ELL program, all new and enrolling students are to be given the Student Home Language Survey, Form 6180. Form shall be completed and returned to the school by the parent or guardians. Where the district has or may have in the future a low number of ELL students, district may contract with a neighboring district for services until a qualified ELL teacher is employed. However, if the district serves 20 or more ELL students, district will employ a full-time certified ESOL teacher. The board designates the special education director coordinator to serve as the district's ELL implementer.
Any questions? Do we have any ELL students?
We do not currently.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion to third read and finally pass policy 6180.
I move to approve policy 6180.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Motion passes. Behavior assessment contract.
We do need to go out for a behavioral assessment contract. We have probably 6 or 7 students with extremely serious behavioral issues that are their safety concern in a lot of cases. This is something that we have done as needed in previous years. We're presenting that a little bit earlier this year than we typically have. I will let you know that I intend to go ahead and put that behavior contract out through our formal process in the spring when we do our OT and PT. We're just gonna include that so that we're all covered. And then should we need those behavioral services, we'll have just approved them through our normal process. But right now, we need to get in a BCBA very quickly so that we can serve our students, all of which include the students that are having behavioral issues, but also the other students in the classroom need us to contract quickly and do an assessment.
Any questions?
Is this mostly elementary that's
Yes.
impacted right now? Okay.
All right, can I get a motion to approve the behavior assessment contract?
I'll make a motion to approve the behavioral assessment contract.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All right, further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Is that it? All right, we can get through closed session, we'll be through in 12 minutes. All right, the next regular meeting will be October 16th of 2025. Thank everyone for attending.
Mark will need to make a motion. Mark will need to make a
Yeah,
motion.
I need
I move we adjourn to closed session pursuant to revised statutes of Missouri 610.021 subsections 13, relative to personally identifiable employment information, and 1, legal actions involving a public body and/or privileged communications among that body and its representatives and attorneys.
Can I get a motion to adjourn to close? Do I, oh, you just made the motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All right, roll call vote. Brad?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.